what is going on, the man behind the microscope has this advice for you. Instead of asking what it is, just ask what does it do. So the behavior of an organism cannot be described without also describing the behavior of the environment. If I describe somebody in the act of walking, and I say nothing about the floor, or the area, the room, or whatever in which he's walking, all I'm describing is a body in empty space dangling its legs. Well, that's not walking. To describe walking, I have to describe the other behaviors or processes going on around the organism. Well, what does that tell me when I find that out? It tells me that what I am talking about is not the organism alone, but something for which we've got only the clumsy term organism environment. Because you see, that's what you are. Imagine, how could you feel the existence of yourself unless at the same time you felt something other? How could you espy any kind of figure, shape, form, unless at the same time you saw its background? Supposing the outlines of my body were coterminous with your whole field of vision, you wouldn't see me. You'd see the microphone, the neck tie, or pattern on the shirt. That would be the thing you were looking at, because you can only recognize anything if it goes along with the background, which is telling us that figure and ground. So you see, then we have the sensation of living in an alien world. All this is further complicated by other factors, which I must now go on to explain. The feeling of insularity, of being I, alone and separate, has something to do with the way in which we pay attention to life, and with the way in which we think about it. And these two things go together. The task of any school teacher with little children is to increase, isn't it, their attention span. Little children are allegedly, although this isn't always true, little children are supposed not to pay attention to anything particularly for very long. They run from one thing to another. They look out of the window. They pick their noses. They moon around. And so the teacher has to rap the desk and say, pay attention. And all the little children know exactly what's expected of them. That is, to wrap their legs tightly around the legs of the chair and stare at the teacher with a slight frown. That is paying attention. It has nothing to do with paying attention. It is simply an act. But what it does suggest is that we feel that paying attention or concentration involves a certain strain. And actually it has nothing to do with it. Concentration is hindered by strain. But we all say, try to pay attention. Try to think. Try to understand what I'm saying. You don't have to. Your brain will do it for you beautifully if you just give it a chance. Your brain isn't a muscle. And events are represented by verb labels. And so we come to imagine that the world really does consist of separate things and events. And it doesn't. And that's a very difficult idea for people to grasp. The reason is, you see, that we found this method of thinking about the world so useful for predicting what will happen, for remembering what did happen. And in order to predict what will happen, it is based on remembering what did happen. That it's run away with us. And as a species, we are seriously in danger of being completely fooled by our own thinking processes. I can give some very simple illustrations of this. One of the main symbols which all civilized people use is money. It's a very convenient symbolism because it gets rid of the necessity for barter, of having to go down to the store with a truckload of eggs in order to buy some clothes.